Antlers, Assumptions, and Artillery. Sorry for the delay. I tried going to sleep early and my body treated it as a nap. Then I couldn't get back to sleep. So you want to pay me back, do you? Jubei asked Jacob with a very toothy grin. Considering that he also sported a handsome pair of tusks, it really stood out. Yes, we've established this already, Jacob says even as the car sets down. Well, I've been having fun with a few different games. I resemble an interpretation of a human mythic creature called an orc, or at least one interpretation of them. Long story short, it's ridiculous fun to get into the character and play as one for a bit. The nerds love it, I love it, it all works out. Okay. Well, there's a creature that the Valren resemble fairly closely as well, called the Harpy, generally depicted as women and cannibals. But I suppose tweaking the story a little for a male Harpy to be in it would be fun. What story? Oh, the nerds are making up a new one. But modifying one based on a video game should be fun. Hope you like strategy. Strategy? What kind of strategy? Logistical and tactical mostly? Jubei says. Okay. We're going in a modified mode anyways. We were poking around with a possible Harpy faction, so it would be more like you leading a bunch of primitive Valrine to battle. To do what? Jacob asks. To win? Duh? Jubei asks. All right, fine. I just expected you to ask something of substance from me, considering how much you helped me. Considering the fact that most of the way through my biggest challenge was to not laugh at things, you haven't racked up anywhere near as big a debt as you assume. Jubei says, all right, when and where? Well, what kind of schedule are you looking at? For the next couple weeks, my ship is grounded as I'm getting some advanced training with one of our new assets, Specialist Bright Eyes. Oh, her? Former gangster Andinus? Yep. She's fucking crazy. She took the brand. No kidding? I personally don't get that. The very idea of an Axiom brand hurts to think about, let alone having one. I've helped people with getting them. It's all automated, but they need someone nearby in case things go wrong. The way they scream, even when it goes right, puts a chill down my spine. It's crazy. She screamed too? Everyone screams when they get the brand. The humans are almost universally insane enough to get it. But they scream as well, so it hurts them too, but... Jubei shakes his head. I don't know. The Undaunted, even you and me, are all some kind of crazy. They take it way farther. Well, not that I don't fit in. I mean, I basically got their standard protection tattoo before even signing up. I needed no additional training beyond a crash course in what was what, and the additional training had to be requested, Jacob says. Apparently my fighting style is, what was it again? Coked out rooster with razor blades on his feet? Something like that. You fight with your feet? Jubei asks, and Jacob unfolds his left wing. What part of this looks like a weapon? Sure, I can kind batter people with it, but it's covered in soft padding arranged in such a way to provide lift. It would be like you trying to bludgeon someone with your calves. But can't you fold them up and punch? Jubei asks, and Jacob folds the wing and mimes the movement. It's proper, but different from an actual punch. Well, technically, but it's like kneeing someone in the face. Even if you do it right, it still kind of hurts. And if you're off by too much, you're just going to damage your own mobility, Jacob says before wiggling his thumb a little. I mean, I have a thumb here, but it's more an evolutionary afterthought, so I don't have to handle everything with my feet, even though my talons grip far stronger and are more dexterous. You shoot guns with your feet, don't you? While flying, lets me really step up the game of mobile shooting, Jacob says. But yeah, I have to fight completely differently from you bipeds. I have a similar silhouette, but I move with my upper limbs and move things with my lower ones, which is the opposite of what you do even before looking into the fact I fly. Like trying to fight a Nagasha. They're doing something weird and your weird thing is to scratch with your feet. If it works, it works. Are you telling me that smashing things or throwing things don't work for you? Jacob asks. I usually just shoot things, a bit more practical. It is. But how do you aim when you shoot from your feet? Oh, that's why I prefer lasers and plasma, not ammunition to worry about. Just hold down the trigger and hose down a large area. If I need precision, I can hold things in my wings in order to line things up with my eyes. Although if I have more space to work with, I can sort of line up my whole body and crane my neck to just get everything just right. Like this, Jacob says, taking a small hop and using his wings to get more air as he suddenly flattens his body with his talons held out in front of him, with the right leg slightly bent to presumably hold a gun. He keeps it up for a couple of flaps and then drops. Hard to maneuver like that, so you have to take your shot and get back to flying. Huh. Neat. Best I can do is bite or speed up my natural camouflaging, Jubei says, and there's a slight swell of axiom around him. And as he goes still, it seems like his clothing is suddenly standing there empty. Then he starts moving again. Most races tan, but Horchka, we blend instead. He then moves, and it looks like someone decided to be particularly lazy on a day of animating, as there's a chunk of the background shifting in the general shape of a person. Even the stubble on his otherwise bald head is shifted to a new color as well. He then reaches up and massages the area around his eyes, and his skin darkens to a grayish green. Am I going to have to worry about you biting me now? Jacob asks, and Jubei just laughs. There has got to be a proper form for this situation in all these lists, Bjorn notes as he starts going through the lists and tapping on potential forms that look promising. The problem is that there are so many, and the legalize is so thick and incomprehensible, he can't find what he's looking for. Aren't legal terms all about clarifying things so that there is zero chance of misinterpretation? Why am I only finding nonsense? Why would any undaunted at this point require a form to fill out a pool? And where the hell is the search function? Then an alert pops out and Bjorn groans in disgust. Of course, a virus in the legal archives. I'll need to start pawing through hard copies. Really? Lils asks. Yes, really. It's Irma's specialty more than anything, Lil says as she slips off his shoulder and slides down his back before pointing to a room labeled archives. They're over there, right? They should be, Bjorn says just before the door to the little research room beside the legal department opens and a pist of synthetic fillet walks in. Their body is completely androgynous, have the digital face style, and has kept it as nothing more than a pair of lines with a small half circle to show where they're looking. Very well. I don't know why you are here, but please log off. I am required to do a system reset to flush out the viral damage, they say in a stilted monotone. Are you all right? Bjorn asks, stepping away from his computer. Please do not speak to this legal technician, they says, and Bjorn raises an eyebrow before logging off and stepping away from the terminal. The technician turns it off and then reboots it through a special process that wipes it before pulling out a hard drive that he forces the machine to copy all the files from before restarting it again. They then repeat this process with all the other terminals, and within a few minutes, they are gone. Was that a boy or a girl? Lils asks from the hard copy room. I couldn't tell, Bjorn says, and Lils lets out a pensive sound. No, I don't think we should check. What? That wasn't what I was going to say, Lils protests. But now you're curious, aren't you? Well, yes, but why does it matter? Curiosity and nothing more, Bjorn says as he logs back into the terminal. Find anything in there? These backup records are in a language I don't know, she mutters, holding one out, and he looks at it. Ah, English. Not my best language, Bjorn mutters. But can't you speak it? I can speak it fine, but I'm slow at reading it. Galactic trade is much easier and has a lot less nonsense in it, Bjorn remarks as he scans over it. This is from the wrong section, the absolutely wrong section. This is a copy of the paperwork required to get someone dishonorably discharged. Definitely not what we want. Oh, I'm putting this right back. That's for the best, Bjorn says as he starts browsing again and inputs a few search options. Here we go. Looks like they're kicking this problem back to local custom with nothing considered for what it's like when the undaunted are the local custom. He then types in a few queries, and when what he and Lils are looking for does not come up, he asks for assistance. 10 seconds later, the door slams open and the androgynous Fairly synth is standing there. They then march up and try to glare down at someone who, sitting down, is just as tall as they are standing up. Are you here to assist? What is the issue? I am in a relationship with 5 women and require the legal forms to make this properly recognized by the undaunted, Bjorn states. When was the official ceremony? It is currently unofficial, and I would like to make it official. On what planet was this relationship established? Zalwar. Within what arcology? For the sake of the paperwork and setting appropriate precedent. This one, Bjorn states. Why are you requesting assistance when attempting to establish precedent? The technician demands. Because precedence is important, and I do want to be officially connected to the women in my life. Bjorn answers, and the lines that cover half the eyes tilt to a frowning position. You're going to need to do a lot more than that to even begin to intimidate me. The technician starts to push at him, and after a moment he rises up out of the chair to let them sit down in his seat, and they quickly go through the processes. Then after a minute, they get up and walk out, leaving a form on the screen. Lils puts the form she found away and scurries up to Bjorn as he sits back down. She sits on his lap as he starts to scan it, and she reads it as well. Then she nods and they print it out. A minute later, they have the full form. It's a little, well, non-celebratory, but for the legal side of things, this should easily get things done, Bjorn says. This will be the last chance for you girls to back out, by the way. I won't. What are you doing? Looking for a pen. I want this. It takes sacrifice to bring a family together, and it takes commitment. So I'm willing to commit, he says, and she frisks him before nearly falling headfirst into his expanded pocket. His hand goes around her waist and pulls her back to safety, then reaches back in and pulls out a small pen. She takes it, kisses him on the cheek, and then signs her part, and Bjorn signs his own before rolling up the form and tucking it into his jacket. Let's go and get the other signatures on it then, Lil says happily, before she hops off him and tries to start pulling him along. He stands up and lifts his arm until she's hanging off it. But Lirak are agile, and she's quickly on his back and pointing the way for him. Forward, big man! We have a family to make official!